Hello, welcome to my videos and my blog. In this time, I'm going to talk about what happened on NFL 2025 season, week 4, scores. This week, the last week was played week 4, were close yesterday with the Monday Night Football doubleheader, where the Dolphins didn't have any problem defeated the Jets and they won its first victory of the season. And the Broncos didn't have any problem defeated the Bengals and they got its third victory of the season. So for that reason, I am recording this video where I'm going to talk about a little about each game, what happened in each game, and who are the standings through our 4 weeks of games. So let's start. Well, the week 4 started the last Tuesday with the Tuesday Night Football with a divisional game. The Seattle Seahawks didn't have any problem defeated the Arizona Cardinals 23-20. You can see the result and you can see that it was a close game, but to be honest, it wasn't a close game because the Seattle Seahawks dominated the game from the beginning to the end. So what happened? That the Seattle Seahawks relaxed a lot and they couldn't execute it in a very where the possession that they had. They were leading 23, no, sorry, 20, 27, no, 20, no, 26. We less than 10 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. So what happened? The Seattle Seahawks relaxed. The Cardinals scored two touchdowns, and with less than 1 minute to play, the game was tied 20-20, and it looked like that the game was gonna to be play. It was gonna to be play in overtime. But what happened? The Cardinals kicker in the kick return, he made a mistake because he put the ball before the yard 20, and it was a penalty. The Seattle Seahawks started in his own 40 yards. So Sam Darnold moved the ball, and the Seattle Seahawks kicker made the field goal and got the victory to the Seattle Seahawks, and they won the game 22-20. And with this victory, the Seattle Seahawks improved to a 3-1, and the Arizona Cardinals fell to a 2-2 record. And after they started to 0 the season, now they have a 500 record. And the Sunday it was a lot of activity because Sunday there were a lot of games. Is 7:30 Eastern time until until the last minutes of the day, because started the game very early where my Pittsburgh Steelers, my favorite team, visited Dublin, Ireland, and defeated the Minnesota Vikings 24-21. This is the same that happened in the Thursday Night Football, where the Steelers dominated the game from the beginning to the end. This was the best game that the Steelers played in the season in all the team, the special team, the offense, and the defense. But what happened? The Steelers were leading in the beginning of the fourth quarter, 24 to 6. Yeah, and they had the game under control. But what happened? The Steelers relaxed a lot. They didn't execute in the best way. The Vikings took advantage of that, and they put the motion because the Vikings had the opportunity to minimum to make a field goal, tie the game, and force an overtime. But in the last series of the game, the Steelers defenses made a very great performances. They stopped the Vikings offense, and in the end, the Steelers won the game 24-21. With this victory, the Steelers improved to a 3-1 record, and the Minnesota Vikings fell to a 2-2 record. Also, this was a very emotional and most victory for the Steelers, because remember that the Rooney's family, the Steelers owner, they immigrate from Ireland, and so for that reason, this was a must victory. So now the Steelers will have a bye week in the week 5, and this is great when you arrive to a week with a bye week and you have a positive record. And the games that started and the 13 o'clock start time. In the first game, the Atlanta Falcons defeated the Washington Commanders 34-27. Remember that the last week the Atlanta Falcons were humiliated and they were shoot down, where they lost by 30-point difference, and the Washington Commanders wanted to improve to a 3-1 record. For a back-to-back games, the Jason Daniels, the Washington Commander quarterback, didn't play for an injury, and for that reason, Marcus Mariota played the game. About the game, it was a very funny game, and it was very close, but I think that the big difference here was the third quarter, where the Atlanta Falcons created that big gap that was enough to win that game, because the Falcons always had the game under control. They were leading 17-10 in the halftime, but the big big difference was in the third quarter where the Falcons scored 2 touchdowns. The Commanders only could score two field goals, and in the end of the third quarter, the Falcons won they were leading the game. 31-16. They were leading sorry, by 15-point difference. The Commanders trying to reduce the gap, but in the end, the Falcons had created that big gap that was enough to win that game. So it's always great to come back to a victory after you lose, and the way that they lost. In the end, the Falcons won the game 34-27. With this victory, the Falcons improved to a 2-2 record, and the Commanders fell to a 2-2 record. In another game, and as one of the surprise of the week, the New York Giants defeated the Los Angeles Chargers 21-18. Remember that there were some changes in the Giants, because remember that before this game, the Giants had failed 0-3. So for that reason, the Giants head coach decided to bench Russell Wilson and put as a starting quarterback the rookie quarterback Jason Dark. And about this quarterback, he did a good game. It's not a great game, but he led the team to the victory. Also, the Giants always were leading the game. They played a tremendous game, but to be honest, it was a very disappointing game from the Chargers, because it cannot be possible that you could lose against the Giants, one of the worst teams in the league. And I understand that most of the time when a West team traveled to play against an East team in the East Coast, and in the 13 o'clock Eastern time game, it's always difficult. But this is unbelievable, because the bad game that the Chargers play, because the Giants were always trailing the game, even that the Chargers didn't play a great game. The Chargers had the opportunity to minimum tie this game and force overtime, but in the end, the Giants played a tremendous game, especially the defense side. The offense didn't make any mistake, and in the end, the Giants won the game 21-18, and they got his first victory. And about the Chargers, they lose the Invictus because they fell to a 3-1 record. And this is something very weird, because the Chargers defeated three divisional teams, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Las Vegas Raiders, and the Denver Broncos, but they lost against one of the worst teams, the New York Giants. This is very weird. In another game, in a divisional game, the Houston Texans didn't have any problem and defeated 26-0 the Tennessee Titans. About this game, remember that both teams were winless. They had the same record 0-3, and both teams wanted to avoid to fall 0-4. About this game, the Texans didn't have any problem, and they won this game easily. Also, they battled a lot, because in the halftime they were only leading by 6-0, and in the end of the third quarter the game was 6-0. So even though the Titans were playing a very bad football, they had the opportunity to minimum to score a touchdown and take the lead of the game. But in the in the last quarter, the Texans play is best football of the game, where they scored 20 points, and they won the game 26-0, and they shoot down the Tennessee Titans. This was a very important victory for the Titans, because now they won its first victory of the season. And about the Titans, they fell to a 0-4 record. It looks like again they are going to be one of the worst teams in the league, and the most probably is that the Bill Callahan, the Titans head coach, the most probably is that he's not going to continue to be the head coach the next season, and the most probably maybe he can be fair during the season. In another game, in a tremendous game, the Philadelphia Eagles traveled to Florida and defeated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 31-25. About this game, the big difference is that the Eagles outplayed and outscored the Buccaneers in the first half, and that was enough to win that game. In the halftime, the Eagles were leading the game 24-6, and that was enough to win that game. In the second half, the Buccaneers made some adjustments that put emotion to the game, and the Eagles relaxed its football, where in the third quarter, the Buccaneers won the third quarter 14-7, and they put emotion to the game, because in the end of the third quarter, the Eagles were leading the game 31 by 20. So in the fourth quarter, I didn't like how the Eagles played, especially the offense side, where the Buccaneers had like the two opportunities to try to win this game, but the Eagle defenses is a tremendous game. They defended very well. They didn't allow any more point, and in the end, they won the game 31-25. Also, now that the Baker Mayfield could lead another winning drive that he had done in the first three games, and in the end, the Philadelphia Eagles won the game, and they are undefeated because they improved to a 4-0 record, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lost its first game of the season. Also, this show that the Philadelphia Eagles are the team to beat because they are because they are the reigning champion team. And something interesting is that in these four games, the Philadelphia Eagles aren't playing a very great football, but the most important for them is that they are winning, and this is great. In another game, the Patriots didn't have any problem and accumulated the Carolina Panthers 42-13. The last season, the Patriots lost against my favorite team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, where the Patriots outplayed the Steelers, but they made several mistakes, and the Steelers won that game. And about the Carolina Panthers, the last week they did the surprise of the week because they defeated and shut down the Atlanta Falcons 30-0 or so. About this game, I expected before the game a closer game than it was, but the Patriots outplayed and outscored the Carolina Panthers. The game was over in the halftime where the Patriots were leading the game 28-6. The Panthers played one of the worst games in the season for them, and in the end, the Patriots had an easy game and they won the game 42-13. With this victory, the Patriots improved to a 2-2 record, and the Panthers fell to a 1-3 record. In another game, the Buffalo Bills defeated the New Orleans Saints 31-19. Before this game, I predicted that the Bills were going to win this game by 14-point difference because the Bills in this moment are one of the best teams in the league, and the New Orleans Saints is one of the worst teams in the league, if not the worst. Also, the last week the Saints traveled to Seattle, where they lost by more than 30-point difference. So again, I expected that the Bills were going to win for more than 14-point difference, but this game it was very surprising because the Saints played a tremendous game. Even the Saints had the opportunity to win this game or to force overtime, but again, most of the time when you play against a top team, you need to play a perfect game from the beginning to the end. You need to play a perfect game in the four quarters. And what happened is that the Saints played a good game in the first three quarters, but in the fourth quarter they couldn't play in the same level. The Bills outplayed the Saints in the fourth quarters, and that was the difference to win that game. With this record, the Bills are undefeated yet, and they improved to a 4-0 record. And the Saints are winless, and it looks like that it's going to be another bad season for them. In another game, the Detroit Lions didn't have any problem and defeated the Cleveland Browns 34-10. Remember that the last week the Lions defeated the Baltimore Ravens in a tremendous game, and the Browns did one of the surprises of the week where they defeated and they upset the Packers. So it was very difficult when a bad team like the Browns can defeat in a back-to-back games to a top team. So in the end, the Lions dominate this game from the beginning to the end. They had an easy game and they won the game. With this victory, the Lions improved to a 3-1 record, and the Browns fell to a 1-3 record. And in another game, and the games that were playing the second schedule, 16:05 Eastern Time and 16:25 Eastern Time, in one of the surprise of the week, the Jacksonville Jaguars traveled all the coast to coast. They traveled to the west and they defeated the San Francisco 49ers 26-21. About the game, to be honest, this was a surprise because I thought that this game was going to be closer, but I thought that the 49ers were going to win this game. But the 49ers played one of the worst games in the season. And to be honest, Brock Purdy that returned to play after 2 games that he couldn't play for an injury. He played one of the worst game in his career. He threw by 2 interceptions and 2 touchdowns. but also the rest of the 49ers made several mistakes that the Jaguars took advantage and they won the game. Also, the big difference here was the second quarter where the Jaguars scored 17 points. In the halftime they were leading 17-6, and that advantage was enough to win that game. With this victory, the Jaguars improved to a 3-1 record. With this loss, the 49ers lost its first game of the season. In another game, a tremendous game, the Los Angeles Rams defeated the Indianapolis Colts 27-20. Remember that before this game, the Colts were undefeated and they wanted to improve to a 4-0 record. And the Rams wanted to take advantage to play home and to improve to get his third victory of the season. So it was a very funny game, but I think that the Colts made several mistakes that affected the game, and for that reason they lose that game. Also, remember in the halftime, the Rams were leading the game 13-10. In the beginning of the third quarter, the Colts had the first drive of the first possession of the second half, and the Colts had scored a touchdown, but one of his receiver, when he scored a touchdown before he entered to the touchdown zone, he decided to throw the ball in the yard 1, and the ball was outside the touchdown and was called a touchdown, and instead that the Colts had scored a touchdown, it was a touchback and the Rams got the football. So this affected because with that score, the game, the Indianapolis Colts could have scored 27 points. But after that, also another important thing is that the Rams executed better in the fourth quarter where they won the game. In the end, the Rams won the game 27-20 and they improved to a 3-1 record. And about the Colts, they lost its first game of the season. They fell to a 3-1 record. In another funny game, but there were a lot of mistakes. The Chicago Bears won the game 25-24. To be honest, there was a lot of mistakes here, but to be honest, I think that the Raiders made a lot of mistakes and they did everything to lose that game. Also, his quarterback, Geno Smith, played a full game because he threw 3 interceptions, and even that the Raiders had the opportunity to win this game with a field goal. But what happened? The Chicago Bears special team blocked the Raiders field goal, and the Chicago Bears won the game 25-24. With this victory, the Chicago Bears improved to a 500 record 2-2, and the Raiders wasted the opportunity to play home, and they fell to a 1-3 record. And in the last game of that schedule, in a surprise, because the result, the Kansas City Chiefs didn't have any problem and defeated the Baltimore Ravens 37-20. Before this game, both teams wanted to avoid to fall 1-2 record. And also, it was a very important game because these two teams, in my opinion, are two of the favorite teams to try to win the AFC conference and play in the next Super Bowl. But also, I expected a closer game, and I thought that this game was gonna to define in the last second of the game. But what happened? The Chiefs outplayed and outscored the Ravens, and the big difference was the second quarter, where the Chiefs won that quarter 17-3. They took advantage of the game and they were leading the game 20-10. Also in the third quarter, the Chiefs outscored 10-3. The Ravens, they were leading 30-13. And in the end, they won the game easily, 37-20. Also, the Patrick Mahomes played his best game of the season, where he threw by 4 touchdowns. And about the Ravens, Lamar Jackson got injured. He didn't return to the game. In the third quarter, he got the injury and he didn't return to the game. With this record, the Chiefs have a back-to-back victories and they improved to a 2-2 record. And the Baltimore Ravens fell to a 1-2 record. And maybe they can be in trouble because they haven't been able to defeat a top team, because they have lost against the Bills, against the Lions, and against the Chiefs. So, and the only victory was against the Browns. And in the Sunday Night Football, I think that the best game of the of the season. The Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers tied the game 40-40. Yeah, it was a tie. So before this game, I expected that the Packers were gonna to win this game by more than 14-point difference, because the Packers are one of the best teams to one of the favorite teams to win the NFC, and the Dallas Cowboys are one of the worst teams in the league. And also, it was a very emotional game because Micah Parsons, the former Cowboys player and the Packers player, it was wanting a revenge, because remember how the way he left the team. Also, the Packers started to winning the game 13-0, where they had scored two touchdowns. But some important play is that when the Packers scored the second touchdown in the extra point, it was blocked, and the Dallas Cowboys special team scored that football, and it was a 2-point difference. After that, the Cowboys scored 16 points without answer, and in the halftime, by surprise of everyone, the Cowboys were leading the game 16-13. I thought that in the halftime, the Packers were going to make some advantage, and they were going to improve, and they were going to win the game easily in the second half. But in the second half, it was a tremendous game, I'm not going to lie, especially the fourth quarter, like to be honest, because in the third quarter, with less than 3 minutes to play or 2 minutes to play, or less than 1 minute to play, I think so, the Cowboys had taken the advantage 37-34, and in that moment I thought that the Cowboys were gonna to win this game, but the Jordan Love, the Packers quarterback, led an offense that they tied the game with a field goal, and the game finished tied 37-37 in the regular time. In the overtime, the Cowboys had the first possession of the game. They scored a field goal, and the Packers had the opportunity to score a touchdown and to win the game. But to be honest, it was a bad management of the clock and a very bad drive that the Packers lost a lot of time, and and with less than 6 seconds to play, the only opportunity that the Packers had was to score a field goal, no try to score a touchdown, and they scored a field goal, and the game finished tied 40-40. With this tie, the Cowboys improved to a 1-2-1 record, and the Green Bay Packers improved to a 2-1-1 record. So very weird. And yesterday there were two games. This was a doubleheader in the Monday Night Football, where to be honest, the two games were very bored. Where in the first game, in a divisional game, the Miami Dolphins didn't have any problem and defeated the New York Jets 27-21. Remember that before this game, both teams were winless, and both teams wanted to avoid to foul 0-4 record. Where to be honest, the Dolphins outplayed and outscored the Jets. The Dolphins had an easy game, where the Dolphins were leading the game 24-10 in the end of the fourth quarter. In the end of the third quarter, in the fourth quarter, the Dolphins relaxed a lot because they had a 2-touchdown advantage. The Jets took advantage of that. They scored one touchdown and one field goal. And in the end, they reduced the game to a 6-point difference. But in the end, they lost that game. With this victory, the Dolphins won his first game. But the problem is, it was a very ugly news that his top star, the Tyreek Hill, got injured. He had a very ugly injured, dislocated knee, and he's gonna to be out for the rest of the season. So bad. And the Jets fell to a 0-4 record, and they are one of the worst teams in the league. And the last game of the week, in the doubleheader, in the second game of the day, the Denver Broncos didn't have any problem and defeated the Cincinnati Bengals 28-3. To be honest, this was a very ugly, bored game. The Broncos had the game under control, and they were leading the game 21 in the third quarter. In the second half, it was very bored because the Broncos only wanted to waste the time and finish the game. And in the end, they won the game 28-3. With this victory, the Broncos improved to a 2-2 record, and the Bengals fell to the same record, 2-2. But also the Bengals play a full game. I understood that the Joe Burrow is a star and quarterback is injured, and he's not going to return maybe until December. But to be honest, this is a very bad team, the Bengals, in the offense, in the defense and special team. And I don't know what is going to happen, because it looks like that the most probably is that the Bengals starting to continue playing this way. The most probably is that the head coach Shaq Taylor is going to be fired in the end of the season. And how are the standings in the AFC? In the AFC East, the Bills are undefeated. They have a perfect record for 4-0, and the most probably they're going to win the division. The Patriots improved to a 2-2 record, and it looks like the Patriots are going to be there to try to enter the playoffs as a wild card team. And the Dolphins win is first game of the season, but I think that they don't have possibility to enter to the playoff, and the Jets are eliminated and in the bottom, and they are winless. In the AFC West is a very interesting way, because the Chargers are still leading the game, even that they lost the undefeated. They have the record 3-1, and also something important is that they have defeated the Chiefs, the Broncos, and the Raiders. In this moment, the Chiefs that have won a back-to-back victories, they improved to a 2-2 record, and now they are in the second place in the division, and the same record as the Broncos. And the Ravens are in the bottom with a 1-2 record. In the AFC North, my favorite team, the Steelers, are leading the division with a 3-1 record. It's a tremendous. The Steelers are not going to play in the week 5 because they will have a bye week. Sorry, the Bengals fell to a 2-2 record, but the most probably they're going to be in the bottom, because Joe Burrow is not going to play the most probably during all the season. And the Ravens and the Browns are in the bottom with a 1-2 record. The Ravens is a very surprise, because a lot of people put as a favorite to win the AFC and to play in the next Super Bowl. I think that the Ravens are going to recover, but until this moment, we have seen that the Ravens can compete against the top teams in the AFC South. The Colts are still leading the division. They lost the undefeated, but they are still leading the division. They have the same record as the Jaguars. So the most probably it looks like that the Colts and the Jaguars are going to fight to this division, and the Texans and the Titans are not going to compete. The Texans, if they can recover it, they can start to compete, but to try to enter to the wild card team. And the Titans are eliminated, and they are one of the worst teams in the league. And in the National League, in the East Division, the Eagles, the reigning champion team, are undefeated. They have a 4-0 record, and the most probably they're going to win this division. The Commanders, as the last season, were the Cinderella. Now in this season they have been struggled a lot, but also because his top quarterback, he's injured, and he hasn't played in the last two games, so he fell to a 2-2 record, but they are still in the second place. The Cowboys that tied his last game against the Packers, they improved to a 1-1 record, and the Giants are in the bottom, but they won its first game of the season. In the NFC West, this is the best division the best division in the league, where the 49ers, Seahawks, and the Rams are tied in the first place with the same record, 3-1, and this is going to be very interesting. In my opinion, in this moment, I see better in this moment the Seahawks and the Rams than the 49ers, and the Cardinals are in the bottom with a 2-2 record. So let's see what's happening in the NFC North. The Lions are leading the division with a 3-1 record, even that they started the season with a lose in the week 1. The Packers that started very great the season, they started 2-0, but in the last two records, they play against two bad teams, against the Browns and against the Packers, and they lost against the Browns, and they tie against the Cowboys. The Vikings fell to a 2-2 record, and the Bears improved to a 2-2 record in the NFC South. The Buccaneers lost its first game of the season, but they are still in the division 3-1. The Falcons improved to a 2-2 record. I think that the Bucs and the Falcons are going to fight to win this division, and the Panthers fell to a 1-2 record and stays in the bottom, and I think that these two teams are eliminated. So I hope you like this video, and if you have any comment suggestion, you can write me in the social media platform. So see you next video. Jupiter.